Okay. Um, yeah, let's talk about what I've been playing around with recently, which is Ambush. Um, Ambush is an interesting skill. Almost nobody uses it, which probably means that nobody knows exactly what it's doing. If you're watching this, let me move my camera over. Actually, just we'll look at the actual ambush skill here. All right. So it exerts an attack. It has a pretty rough cooldown of 5 seconds. But then it gives massive critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier. This is not very useful. Because the only reason that you can really use it is if you're doing crit multi, but then the cooldown, is it really worth popping this for one attack? Well, the only way that you can really make that worth it is if that attack gives all the benefit, and what I'm going for is Ignite. So if we can give enough cooldown reduction to make this feel good, then we can get a pretty decent amount of Ignite uptime via Ambush. And because we get a massive increase on the critical strike chance, it's a plus 25%, right? It's not 25% increased. This is plus 25. So if you have a 5% crit weapon, which is awful, your 30% crit, which means you need like 235% increased critical for 100% crit chance, assuming you hit, and a bunch of crit multi. Now, if you crit, you ignite. Yay! So you don't have to invest in chance to ignite, right? Any skill that does the right damage type is going to be igniting. So there's a lot of opportunities to start looking at some ways to maximize this, and igniting with any damage type is possible, right? You can do it with cold. There's a couple of ways. There's you can do it with lightning. There's like the ring that does that, and you also can do it with chaos. Everything can ignite without having to do a whole lot of work. So that opens up a fair amount of options. Right now, I'm igniting using Frostblades. I used to go the route of, and we're still on the acts, by the way, like we're in Act 8 or so. I try to do the thing that fires the little balls of fire. But I really want to be able to hit enemies further away and project my ignites further away. But there's lots of opportunities for what attack skill you use. You're just more limited on what weapon you use from a hitting perspective. I'm just running some leveling uniques, Deep One's Hide, Worm's Mold, Burg's Grip. I mean, it was in my stash. A Kikazaru? I mean, it's not great, but I haven't put much effort into it. And a Daros Precision. I think this is a level 40 weapon. We're level 60 almost. Like probably like 42, 43. And then we are using a 3 Dragon Gold Mask right now to allow us to ignite using our cold damage. And most of what we do is cold, right? It's 600 to 900 cold. We also have probably 150 lightning, and then we have probably about 100 physical because I don't really finish my conversion work. We are running Temporal Rift, which I forget to use. We're running Precision, just so we have more accuracy and to round out our critical strike chance, and Hatred. And then we have plenty of mana left over. This is a pretty lazy build right now. But let's look at how awful it is to play. Because right now it doesn't feel great. So yeah. We're running Pathfinder. So you hop on something. That part feels good. And when you drop an ignite, the ignites tend to be pretty big. But your cooldown is rough. Right? a bunch of rares and you're spending a lot of time just fighting. Now, this is going to get a lot better as our damage goes up, as I don't use some random unique, as I actually figure out my stuff. But the harder part that I need to figure out is how do I solve for the cooldown. And our cooldown isn't that bad. Right now our cooldown is 2.36 seconds, which is pretty respectable. Alright, so let's look at the passives and figure out the cooldown part. How do we make this work? Fleet foot mostly, 30% and 15%. That is 45% increased cooldown recovery, and because ambush has the right tags, it works with fleet foot. Awesome. We don't do fire damage, so we get free elemental equilibrium. We have burning brutality. We pick that up for just fire dot multi. And then we pick up a bunch of movement speed and spell suppression. And we go up here for growth and decay while picking up dire torment and picking up perfect agony. Here, so perfect agony up here and then dire torment over here. So we have a lot of crit multi for our or not really crit multi. We have a lot of increased damage from ailment from critical strikes on the tree, right? Because dire torment is 25% more and 14% more, and perfect agony is 50% of our crit multi. Now, if you look on the tree, we only get like 25 crit multi here right now, but we also get like 122 here. So we got like about 150 crit multi right now. So this is 75% more damage at perfect agony, which it adds up. Like these ignites are getting pretty beefy, but you're still scaling everything off of your weapon. And right now my conversion is still pretty scuffed. I really should be picking up converted to cold, but I'm still trying to also figure out exactly how I want to, what I want to convert from, what I want to cause my ignites with, and what I want to do for my main hand weapon. Because we're using just a single weapon to attack, there's a lot of opportunities for different ways to build this, and right now I'm uncertain as to which way I'm going to go. So yeah, this is a tree so far. Life, damage over time multiplier, just a good damage now, 30% increased damage with ailments. I'll pick up entropy as well. Life, damage on critical strikes, of ailments from critical strikes, 6 mana, spell suppression, some movement speed, cooldown reduction down here, fire multi, elemental equilibrium, and then we have herbalism, some life over here. A lot of opportunities to improve things. There's a lot of skill points still to be spent. Right now it's an interesting playstyle while bossing and a pretty bad playstyle while mapping. Right? When you pop in and you have your ability, the ignites that you cause are plenty good. Most, I'd say half of the reds I encounter will die, half of the rares will die to the ignites I cause. And part of the reason why I use Frostblade is that, you ignite or create ignite pockets pretty far away. That's pretty nice. Also, you're doing plenty of damage for these things. But there's a couple of things that are just not ideal with mapping. One of those things is that when you jump into a pack, you're only blinding like one mob. You're also like kiting mobs a lot more, right? Trying to create a nice little juicy death ball, and you hop into it and you create a bunch of ignites. If you get a really large amount of stuff, then it makes sense to actually use Warcries or start using curses, but until you actually get enough mobs on the screen to make it worth it, it's not really worth it. Right, so from a playstyle perspective, this is pretty awful. And from a long-term perspective, I think there's a couple of things that will make it not an amazing playstyle. One of those is the current league. Well, not really the current league. The current league is fine. That's because you're doing a lot of bossing, right? That part is good. What isn't fine is the new Atlas setup with being able to add implicits to items. And the reason for that is that there are a couple of implicits that you can get off of ritual bases that really help out this build. One of those is 40% increase cooldown reduction on movement skills. Or travel skills, it's one or the other. Either way, it works with ambush. So, that's pretty amazing. It also has 10% reduced movement speed, which is not amazing. But the other part is pretty good. But if you use like the red and the blue currency on it, well, then you get rid of your implicit and life becomes sad. Right? That's not great. So in a way, this build got kind of nerfed before I even, apparently never clicked this thing, got to play it. It would have been much better last league, if it was good at all. And yeah, you just set things on fire and then you wait, and on occasion you do like your war cry and other stuff, and you come back after a while and set them on fire again. I mean, if you really enjoy watching boss mechanics, this is pretty good. But for right now, I think this could be awful. It isn't good right now. I'm not like super twinky in my setup. Sometimes I don't. Like when there's a rare in a pack and you just miss, or even a boss like this, right? Sometimes you just click their minions and then it's sadness. Can you not be cursed or something? Oh, my shield is messing up my curses. Why not? Anyway. We'll see where this goes. I'm definitely gonna play to maps. I want to see if it makes sense for me to go with either lightning basic knights, fire basic knights. I mean, it's an option, right? Why not? Or going for cold basic knights, or even chaos basic knights. I don't know which one I'm gonna end up with. Right now, I'm just kind of getting used to the playstyle. My current playstyle, the cooldown of what's the cooldown on this thing? 3.23 seconds. It's rough. It definitely makes clear clunky to say the least. But I expect that some of those things are going to improve. So let's take a quick look at some of the items that are relevant going forward. We already looked at the Three Dragon Mask, which I'm sure you've picked up and most likely have never used. So, Night Wind Slippers. 10% reduced movement speed. Pretty easy to mitigate this if you're in the Ranger starting part of the tree. And a 40% cooldown recovery rate of movement skills. Ambush is a movement skill, so that would cut it down to about 2.5 seconds. Pretty good. I'm leveling up an enhance that I managed to drop. Saying leveling up is a bit of an overstatement considering it has barely a visible amount of experience. Enhance again will allow us more cooldown recovery. There's also the debilitation gauntlets. These make exerted attacks deal 50% increased damage. That's pretty good. Because ambush exerts the next attack. It has a drawback that affects war cries, but ambush is not a war cry. So again, as far as implicit goes, 50% increased damage is a pretty good implicit. If you want to cause ignites, you can use Zephyr's Heart, which gives you ignites from chaos damage. You have Himburn. Again, your cold can ignite. You have 3 Dragon Mask, cold can ignite. There's a ring that gives you lightning damage to be able to ignite. You have the Insanity Boots, which allows everything to ignite. There's lots of opportunities. It's tempting to go with the Zephyr's Heart, and because we're using crits, we will ignite and we will chill and we will shock, because crits apply those things if we can do them. Maybe we want chill. I don't know if chill would be applied by crits. Anyway, we crit, so we'll definitely shock and ignite. Pretty good. So there's something to be said for that, but the same thing could be said for lightning. So there's a lot of opportunities there. I'm still trying to feel things out. I did actually find my own Nightwind slippers, and then I used the currency on it, and then after a little bit I realized, oh, I bricked them. Sadness. Yeah. So yeah, don't use the special currency, otherwise you use the implicit. Same goes for the gauntlets. I think there's a lot of opportunities for this. I think that with some actual starting to feel around at higher level in maps, you know, using more than a 4-link, there's some things we can do with this. I don't know where it's gonna go yet though. As far as links for leveling, we have a Malevolence, which we don't run, a Temporal Rift, which I forget to use, a Precision, which is just nice accuracy, and Hatred, which I'm not even fully converted to cold, so it's kind of not so great. Ambush, which doesn't work on increased area of effect. Yeah. And increased duration, which just makes the blind last longer and gives you a bigger window in case you get stunned right after teleporting in, because that sometimes does happen. Steel Skin, Inferno Cry with increased duration, Flammability, which could also increase duration, and Ice Golem, which I forget to use. And then we have an Enhance for leveling up, a Deadly Ailments for leveling up, and a Molten Strike, which we're leveling up just in case. And our main link is going to be Frostblades right now with Critical Strike Affliction, which is a really good support gem if you're doing crits anyway. Ignite Proliferation to help with clear. Would be maybe nice to change that out to something else. And then Elemental Damage attacks. It's not amazing, but it's fine. There's a lot of opportunities for different supports on here, but it's fine. Like, that's as good as I can say about it. So, with a little bit more skill points, a little more levels, and getting into maps and having access to some of the other items, I'll revisit it. I'll be running through the different ways to do ignites, and going to see if I can actually get the damage to a pleasant level, because right now it's not. And for reference, this weapon is... what level is this weapon? 43, and we're 15.9. So the weapon isn't exactly up to snuff. Our gloves are meh. Our shield is a lot of damage, to be fair. But still, there's a lot of improvements to be done here. Ring is good. It does nothing, it probably should be replaced. And there is some physical damage off of my amulet. So yeah. Another update in a few days. Maybe a week. We'll see.